Aileen. Welcome back to my channel. This is Homeschool with the Clarks. Today I want to chat with you about the Good and the Beautiful science unit, specifically this one, the chemistry unit. If you've been around my channel, you know I really like their science units. I love that they're just like short little chunks, and that works really well for our family, and I can add to them as I want to with videos, field trips, extra activities if I want to, but also I can just use this curriculum and call it a day. Each one is like 12 to 14 lessons each unit. This one is 14 lessons. We actually did not finish this. So I want to chat about it, and then I'm going to give you a flip through because I don't not like it, but I'm going to tell you why we didn't finish it. So most of their science units, the ones that we use, they do have like the little kid ones that are like kindergarten to second grade. I cannot speak to those because I have not used them, but the Good and the Beautiful science units that are like family style for usually it's grades 3 through 8. Okay. Those are the ones that we've used, and I have been using them. I started using them last year when my second to youngest was in second grade, but she has always done totally fine. We immediately just got her one of these student journals, and she just worked with us and followed along and was able to keep up. I did also have a little one. She's in TK this year. Some of these units have like a little like coloring activity book that they can use, so they're like included. This is the only one that doesn't have one of those, and I'm actually okay with that because if you've seen me talk about those, you know I don't love them. They're fine. They give her something to do, but she's not getting anything out of it. It's busy work. It's just giving her something to like doodle on, essentially, or cut and glue. But if you'll notice, chemistry, this one is only 5th to 8th grade. And really, I feel like that's even pushing it. A lot of times you don't cover chemistry until high school because there's a lot of math involved. This one, there is not a ton of math. They did simplify it pretty well. But I thought, well, my second grader did the science units last year and she was totally fine. So end of 3rd grade, she should be able to do chemistry even though it says 5th grade because she's almost 4th grade. That was really not the case. I probably jumped the gun and should have waited a little while, but my oldest is in 8th grade, so I wanted him to get it, if that makes sense. So we did, gosh, how many lessons did we do? I want to say we did like half. Lesson 7, okay. So we did lesson all the way up to lesson 9, and there's 14 lessons. Will we finish it eventually? Maybe I'll get the student journals and we'll start over fresh in a couple of years. But I think it was really disappointing for my kiddo, specifically my younger one that was doing it, because she just wanted to do like all of the like experiments. Like I think she thought there was going to be more cool experiments. They did do elephant toothpaste, which she loved, but that's really the only cool one that we did. The rest were kind of boring to her. It was just a lot of learning about like scientific theory, and I can understand now why it's 5th to 8th grade. You should definitely only do it for older kids because it was just way over her head, and she's my sciencey one. And then we kind of shifted gears with my 8th grader, and he is kind of doing his own thing for the end of the year, rest of the year for science. And so we didn't finish this one. We moved on. We actually are doing their birds unit now. It's not against the curriculum. I still really love this curriculum. It was just too advanced and a little bit boring for them. And a lot of their other units are more fun. I don't know, but I still don't think it's bad. I think if your kid's really interested in chemistry, this is a good starting point. But also if your kid's really interested in chemistry, you're probably going to want to do more than this. So I don't know. Let's do a flip through. I will show you the teacher's manual, and I will also show you the student journal. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, here is the Good and the Beautiful chemistry science unit. You can see that it actually says 5th to 8th grade. Most of them say 3rd to 8th. This one specifically says 5th to 8th. They do have their table of contents here. It is 14 lessons. So if you were doing 2 lessons a week, it would be a 7-week study, or it could be 14 weeks, however you want to do it. Now, they do have an optional read aloud pack. These are not required. All you really need is the teacher manual and the student journal. You don't need these, but they are nice if you wanted to add in supplemental reading for your child to read independently, or if you wanted to go over the elements in more detail. On the unit information, it does just show you that there's different things that you're going to incorporate. The science journal, as I showed you, the science wall, which is where you include your vocabulary. We actually have stopped doing that and just keep the vocab in the book, but they do encourage you to create a science wall. They do have activities and experiments. They have experiment videos and unit videos, which are different. So sometimes they will have an example of the experiment in a video, and then others, it's an informational video. And then they do just say new discoveries are made all the time. And so this is as accurate as it can be from when they made it. They do have quite a bit of supplies that you need for this unit. Many of them are things that you may have on hand, but I do recommend just like planning ahead, like at least a few weeks and making sure that you have everything you need. The biggest thing I would say is they do want you to have a graduated cylinder and a kitchen scale, 3% hydrogen peroxide. That one's a little tricky to get, so you do need to plan ahead for that one, and then a beaker. Now they are saying on all of them, they'll say a beaker or a drinking cup. Over here, they say a clear liquid measuring cup or graduated cylinder. I really wanted to get these things, but then I just couldn't justify spending the extra money at that time, so we did end up using a cup and a measuring cup, and it was okay. I think it would have been better if we had had the beaker and the graduated cylinder. Other things that they want is like scissors, some food items, cups, bowls. At one point they want yeast, a candy thermometer. So it is helpful to look through this and just kind of be prepared. So then they have the vocabulary. This you're supposed to cut out as they prompt you in the lessons and add it to your vocabulary wall. So here are the lessons. Here is the first one, Introduction to Chemistry. All of the units are broken down the same way. So they always have the objective at the top. They give you any preparation that you need to do and supplies. So here's activity supplies and experiment supplies. So they have them separated out. And then this is all scripted. Okay, so it'll say read to the children, and you literally read that aloud to the children. And then it prompts you with the pictures, science wall. And then you do an activity, which is the chemistry questions, which is what you prepared. Let me see if I have it. Yeah, we ended up just leaving it in the book. So you're supposed to ask these chemistry questions. The kids take turns asking them. More vocabulary. And then here is the first experiment you do for this unit. So it does have some pictures, which I really appreciate. Some sciences don't have that. So look at lesson 10. Okay, so now we have the atom. Again, it shows you preparation, the objective, and activity supplies. They do sometimes work in art and poetry. So this one has a poem, and then it's prompting you to ask your children what they learned about the poem, and then they will watch a video on the atom. More vocabulary. And then it's having them turn to the periodic table of elements in their student journals. I will give you guys a flip through of that as well. More vocabulary. And then here is the example. So you're building atoms, you're using Play-Doh. And then it's talking about element structure images. I'll just give you a closer up look at this. Some element cards for a game, I believe, and that is it. So now let's jump forward to, let's do the last lesson here. Okay, so lesson 14, the final lesson of the chemistry unit, is properties of water. It has its objective, no preparation today, and some supplies. So kitchen scale, calculator, tape, and crayons or colored pencils. You start by watching a video. And again, it is scripted. They do have some notes here for you. Wants to add more vocabulary to the science wall. And then here are some images for you to look at and an answer key. Now we'll look at the student journal. Again, this is for grades 5 to 8. They have a table of contents, just as they do with the teacher manual. And it does have instructions over here just telling you that it accompanies the science unit and to do your best work. So I'm going to try and, well, okay, so here's one. Lesson 1, they learned about the scientific method. And so these were actually supposed to be lift the flap. My child missed that direction, but it was supposed to be lift the flap and you write notes underneath. They did do an experiment observing colors separating and then had to kind of observe it over the day. And so they took notes there. They did some investigations of measurements. So they're just writing in notes. I do keep it interactive in a way that my children at least liked, where it's like they're just matching. They do a lot of matching type stuff, drawing pictures of atoms. A lot of times they'll have things that they cut out and then I will be reading about the subject to them. And as they find the answer, they'll like sort it and glue it. So it just kind of keeps them, gives their hands something to do while they're learning. And then we did elephant toothpaste, which was the favorite thing that we did for this curriculum. She was most excited about this. And then you can do an element study. Let's jump to the back where it's clean. We haven't done anything. You can see they have an art study, growing foam experiment, saltwater solution experiment, properties of water, room for additional notes, and that is it.